Goal Getting Podcast, episode 24. Hello, goal getters. This is Tony Woodall, your host with Goal Getting Podcast. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at goalgettingbook.com, where there's over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or other MP3 player. Thank you and enjoy the show.
Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't want to work hard.
Hello, goal getters. This is Tony Woodall, your host for Goal Getting Podcast. Welcome to this episode. I want to thank you for coming back and listening to us again. This is a great episode with a good friend of mine, and I feel really blessed to have had the opportunity to speak with Eugene Chen. Eugene's a co-worker and an inspiration to me. I've watched Eugene grow at our company. We started at about the same time into different positions, and I worked closely with Eugene on several projects, and I have really enjoyed speaking with him and watching him grow. We were in Toastmasters together, and you'll find out more about that in the show, but Eugene is dynamite. He is one of the most inspirational people I've met at the company, and I really enjoy spending time with him as a friend, as well as an associate, and just an all-around good relationship with him and Toastmasters, etc. So you're going to really enjoy this show. He's got some great golden nuggets to share, and he has some great inspiration because he has taken goal setting and goal getting to be what it is, and he has achieved many of the goals that he set not only for our Toastmasters Club, but also for himself, and I'm going to let him tell you about some of that. So we're going to get on with the show and listen to my friend, Eugene Chen. Good morning, goal getters, and this is your host, Tony Woodall with Goal Getting Podcast, and this is a live interview with a great friend of mine and fellow Toastmasters and co-worker, Mr. Eugene Chen. Eugene is I can't even say it. Eugene is such a dynamo and dynamic person here at our office, and has done so many phenomenal things that has just impressed me completely with this man, and I just had to have him on our show because he is a go-getter and a goal-getter. He has set and achieved and got the goals that he set here for our Toastmasters Club. We are both Toastmasters and have been officers in our club recently, and Eugene is just a phenomenal person in general, but he's just done some great things for our club. His role with the company started about the same time I did, and he's just progressed in such a way. When we talk on Goal Getting Podcast about, setting goals and achieving those goals, and Eugene, I think, is the epitome of, a goal getter on our show, somebody who, wants to achieve something, gets into a role, and looks at what he needs to do, sets the action plan, and goes about doing it. So I am going to introduce you to my good friend, Mr. Eugene Chen. Eugene, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Tony. I really appreciate being on the podcast.
Thank you. And as I mentioned, you are a fellow employee and co-worker with me here at the bank, and you also are a fellow Toastmaster. We started as charter members for our Toastmasters Club here, and we did a 1 year, and then we became a 2-year club. The start of the second year, you became president of the club, and we just have taken off since then. The club has grown tremendously, both in achieving goals and things like that. So we're going to talk about, Toastmasters and how you, help that club achieve certain goals, how you've achieved goals in your career. You've recently had a new promotion. We'll talk about that soon. And I want to get you to tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? What do you do? And how are you doing today?
Sure. I'm doing great. So I'm from the Bay Area, grew up in the South Bay in a small town called Saratoga. And I actually went to school in San Diego where I studied economics, became really interested in working in banking. Ironically, got out of school at a very turbulent time. So I graduated in 2008 at the height of the financial crisis. And ironically, I was a kind of a eager and green-eyed, fresh grad looking to get a start in banking, and most banks were kind of collapsing at that time. But took me a little while, but I came across First Republic Bank, which was kind of a gem in that it was doing really well as an institution, didn't engage in subprime mortgage lending, was just really healthy financially. And that's where I got my first start. So I joined November 2010, which is nearly 5 years ago. Started off as a fraud analyst, worked in that role as a year, got a really good understanding of how financial transactions work. Then I stepped into my second role at the bank, which was a team internally known as the Eagle Experts. We were a cross-functional group that touched every department within this bank. We were kind of like the concierge of the bank.
Yeah.
So
I remember when that started. I think it's probably where we first met.
That's where we first met. That was our first encounter, because you helped me with all of my on-base questions.
Right.
But basically, we were a team of varying skill sets. We all had different subject matters that we were knowledgeable in, and we would help direct employees to the right departments when they had, urgent issues, escalated issues, things like that. So that was a really great, for me personally, that was a great opportunity because having that love for banking, I got to really understand the deposit side of the house, the lending side of the house. I got to learn about investments. I got to learn about marketing. I got to learn about all the pieces that make First Republic Bank. So that was a great experience. Did that for another year and then started to segue into social media. Most people don't really see the transition there because how do you go from this, bank facing team to social media? But the thing is, the best social media professionals are cross-functional in nature,
right?
Because they need to understand a lot of different topics all at once. Social media professionals are typically known as the best generalists out there because they have broad knowledge in a lot of different things. Knowing that I had that background, my boss at the time recruited me, or my boss now recruited me for her team. She was building a social media program. And what she told me at the time was, we were building an external social media team. We're also building an internal social media team. We use a social platform to help our employees connect better, work smarter, add some more time in their day, become a little more productive, become a little more efficient as they're working in their day-to-day. So that's been a great journey. And along the ride, I joined Toastmasters because in all the roles that I've had, I've always had to do presentations, and public speaking wasn't always something that came naturally to me. So I had heard about Toastmasters for years, but never really kind of worked up the courage to go join until our club formed at First Republic, and that's been an incredible journey. So the rest is history.
The rest is history, and it's a fantastic history to boot. You talked about this new role with the social media, and that is a new program that the bank started, and you were part of that initial growth, initial seed that started this whole program, because social media is becoming very important in business and in banking especially. It's becoming even more important. So you did that, but you worked on the internal collaboration team or an internal social media team dealing with internal people, correct? Not
right.
External.
That's right.
And the benefit of that for business, is getting what engagement with the employees and.
Well, the big challenge is that as organizations grow, it becomes harder and harder to communicate internally. You've heard countless stories of silos forming within companies, especially when they have rapid growth. Lots of departments form pretty quickly. Lots of employees start joining. And in doing that, for other companies that kind of face this problem, they start to lose their culture a little bit, start to lose that identity. And people have a tough time just kind of navigating throughout the organization. And with the prominence of social media has become it is the fastest adopted communication and media platform of all time, right? And so over the years, in the last 10 years, companies have started to leverage social platforms internally, and social media has really kind of taken over the classic intranet, right? So and for some companies, social media has even taken over email, right? So this is kind of the way companies are kind of talking internally now. So we kind of moved along in that effort, and we built a social media platform internally for just employees. And the idea was this was going to be a place that people could go to get to know their colleagues, right? If they're new to the organization, they can find expertise when they're looking to refer business, when they're looking for subject matter experts. This is a place where they can go to crowdsource for information when they need help, when they need to resolve a client issue. And it's also a great way to disseminate information too, especially with some of our teams that have, 5 employees or 10 employees, so relatively small teams. They can reach hundreds of employees at one time by leveraging social. Right? And that's kind of the power of social media.
Excellent. Let's go to Toastmasters because that's been a phenomenal rise. We started our club 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great club. It grew and did very well. And then you were elected president July of 2014, I believe, is when we started. I went as the vice president of public relations. You became president, and you started setting goals and building a success plan. So tell the audience about goals and how you did that, and some of the things that you have to look for if you're interested in building a good Toastmasters club and learning. And the good thing, what's some of the benefits obviously are public speaking, getting over fear of public speaking, learning how to speak better. But there's also leadership skills that are taught in First Republic. And how did you use First Republic's Toastmasters Club to learn some of that, and grow in your careers? Because as I said, you recently got a promotion we'll talk about in a little while. That is just, phenomenal from where you began 5 years ago to this promotion. It's just, again, not a not a rapid rise, but it's been a short time. Right. But it just, you have driven your goals for Toastmasters, both not in only your speaking ability, which has improved phenomenally since you started, also your leadership abilities, I think, have grown tremendously because of Toastmasters. So tell us a little bit about the rise of the club from where it was to what it is today, and tell us about your successes.
So we had been in the club for about a year, and at that time, I remember my boss tells me that I needed to pick up some leadership skills because in my role at the bank, I had to do a lot of training. I had to recruit a lot of people to kind of support our cause, our internal movement to adopt this new way of doing work. And so we had to build some leadership skills. And I remember thinking at the time, how do you, people can say that they're good leaders, but how do you prove that, right? How do you prove that? And then the opportunity came at the end of our first year in Toastmasters where we're doing officer elections. And I realized that if I run for president, that could be kind of a way to kind of build up those skills and be able to showcase to my boss and to others that, hey, I'm working towards building those leadership skills and becoming a good leader. So I ran for office. I was elected president. And I remember at that time, I stepped into the role of president of the club. And the next question was, okay, what do I do now? Right? And I had no idea. And we were a young club at the time. We had a good first year, but a lot of clubs, the first 3 years are kind of the formidable years, right? Because you start this new club and you don't want it to fail within the first year. So you have to keep it going. And I started thinking about, okay, how do we take this club to the next level? And luckily for me, Toastmasters actually provides a set of goals that if a club can actually go out and accomplish these goals, typically they're high quality clubs, right? Or they become high quality clubs, or they set the precedent of always being a high quality and elite club. And those goals are kind of in the areas of administration, education, membership. So in other words, are you paying the bills on time? Are you getting your officers trained? Are you getting people to reach their education goals by completing their speeches and taking on leadership roles? And then are you growing the club? Are you bringing in new members? So Toastmasters kind of provided me a list of goals that I was out to kind of go and achieve. But then the next question is, well, what do I need to do to get those goals, right? And I learned along the way that whenever you're facing big tasks, you got to break them down into smaller tasks, right? So, for example, how do we grow membership? Our membership goal last year was to bring on 8 people. Which at first glance, that seems like a large number, right? How do you bring in 8 new members? Well, how do you bring 1 new member, right? Let's start with 1 person. And what are the ways with which we can get people into our club? And that's why we had you, our VP of public relations. Let's put together a marketing strategy. Let's put together an online community. Let's get some newsletters out. Let's get some word of mouth marketing going on with some of our members. Let's get people to bring in colleagues from their own departments or whatnot. Let's put together programs that incentivize people to come to the club. So you take these big tasks, you break them down into small tasks, and also you have to lay out a plan, right? So you have to do a lot of planning. And this is something that I actually got from your book about goal getting. The thing is, things don't happen overnight. So when I stepped into the officer role, you don't just acquire 8 new members. You don't just put people through their speeches in 1 day or 1 week. It's going to take an entire year. So you kind of have to map out exactly how it's going to work and where you want to be at various milestones. So at the 3-month mark, the 6-month mark, the 9-month mark, what do we want the club to look like at that time? And this is actually a really fun exercise because once you kind of put together that roadmap, now all of a sudden you have a plan, right? So that's kind of the first piece, putting together the plan. I think most people don't do enough of that. I think maybe it's because they don't understand that framework and they get overwhelmed with a task that they feel is too big for them, right? So you have to break it down into smaller tasks and expand it out and put together an action plan, right? That's what you typically call it. Then there's also a big element of teamwork too, because one person can't do it all, right? And that's why we had a team, right? We had someone managing our marketing efforts. We had someone managing our membership efforts. We had someone managing our education efforts. And I was out there kind of facilitating the whole process as well. So the next challenge is, well, how do you get the team to buy in? And it's really just a conversation that you have with them explaining why are we doing this? These folks signed up to be in these roles, but you as the leader, you have to explain to them why we're doing this, right? And once you kind of establish those shared goals, then people are bought in and everyone understands what their role is and everyone understands how they're contributing to the broader success of the club, right? So as the months went on, we started, we got to work and we started knocking off goal by goal almost everything that we set out to accomplish. Right. So it's been quite a ride. And then also kind of tying this back to the beginning, well, now after having that wonderful experience, now when people say, can you give me an example of a time that you had to lead a team or you had to, tell me about your ability as a leader? Now I have a story I can tell them about how we took the club to the next level.
Exactly. And I think you've done a great explanation there of, explaining how these tools that you have and using the skills that you learned through Toastmasters allowed you to work with a team. You managed the team. You were able to get buy-in, which is important in leadership, getting people on the same set of goals. And that shows a true leader if you can, get the people that are working with you to buy into it and become part of the same shared goals that you have as a club, a team, a business, or whatever. Right. And those are some great skills that you can learn through Toastmasters. Yep. Along with public speaking. Now, you also are an award-winning public speaker as well. Just to let everybody know, you went to division for our division.
Oh, district, actually.
District, actually, yeah. I forgot. I keep getting those confused which one's higher. But for district, for the humorous speech contest, which is one of the things that you do have an opportunity to compete at, certain levels, the club level, then the area level, and then to district and division. Or is that backwards?
Division, then district.
Division, then district. Why can't I get those right? Anyway, you did a great job. You made it to the district championship for humorous speech contest. And this year you helped lead our club. We had several other speakers who made it to different areas of that. And not only did you get us to do those particular skills, you also took the club to some high levels in the area. What what type of awards or recognitions did the club earn thanks to the work that you did?
Well,
the goals that you had set.
A couple things. First, I never thought I would ever win a speech contest, and you would be surprised what a little preparation can do for you. And going back to the whole goals for the club, the original reason why I participated in that speech contest, we started at the club level, was because I kind of want to just set the tone. It's hard to get people to participate in contests because, I think it's just the competitive nature. People don't want to compete with their colleagues. But competition is a good thing, right? It brings the best out of people. And I felt like as a leader, I had to kind of set the tone and just participate, right? If you're gonna put on a speech contest, you have to participate, right? So that was kind of the humble beginnings for that journey. But then as I kind of got into it, and I never considered myself a comedian or anything. So how am I going to get these people to really be entertained by what I'm going to put together? I spent about a month just kind of watching comedians, watching, other funny pieces on YouTube, and started to kind of get an idea of what I wanted to talk about. And I started writing out a story. I started injecting, the punchlines here and there. And I came up with a narrative that I thought would really resonate with people. So my speech was about dating, right? Dating is always a topic that people love to talk about. So I started talking about dating, and then I thought to myself, well, wait a minute. If I'm going to be giving this speech to Toastmasters, dating is a topic that always resonates with everyone, but what if I also talked about Toastmasters itself and kind of made fun of Toastmasters at the same time? So that's kind of how I came up with a speech about why you should never date Toastmasters, and that was all of a sudden that was my title, and all of a sudden, and it's funny because when I was writing that speech, it took some time to get to that big aha moment, but once I realized what I wanted to talk about, the speech took me minutes to write. I already knew what it was going to be. So anyway, so I won the contest and then moved on to the area, and at that point, then I started to feel the nerves because you don't know who you're going to face in the next round. But I was fortunate to win the area, and then I won the division after that, and then made it all the way to the district. And just to give everyone some perspective of what that means, the district is about 300 clubs from the San Francisco area all the way down to Monterey. Wow. So every club rolls up to the district, and we belong to District 4. So finally got to that stage, came in second place, and which I'm really happy about because as the division champion, I was representing Division E. There were 9 other division champions that I went up against in the contest. So just being able to place was a huge honor. But to your question, after that whole contest series was over, people started to know who we were.
Right.
People came up to me after the contest and said, "What club do you belong to?" And I said, First Republic Toastmasters. And they said, "We want to come visit your club." Because as representing First Republic, all of a sudden people are curious, like, what other speakers do you guys have? You guys must have a good culture. You must have some pretty talented speakers. We'd love to come by. And I get inquiries all the time for people who want to come by and visit. And I let them know that, our doors are always open if you want to come visit. So, and I've also heard that other clubs started talking about us. And just because we were this little club nobody knew about, and we made it all the way to the district. So just having that, being able to have that visibility, and now that awareness of our club, that was really the biggest benefit for us after that whole contest series.
Excellent. Yeah, and we have, like I said, under your leadership as president, we went to become a district select club or distinguished club, distinguished club, which is one of the top levels within Toastmasters organizations for the different regions and stuff that they have. So thank you. As a member of the club, you've done a great job last year as president. And now my understanding is because of the skills that you've learned at Toastmasters as an officer and just as a public speaker, you are now going into a new role within Toastmasters. So not only are you having a new role at FRB and a promotion there, you are now being
the area director
for this particular area in San Francisco.
Yeah. So what that means is every club rolls up to an area, and every area rolls up to a division. Every division rolls up to a district, right? So last year, I finished my term as president of the club. Now I'm going to be the area E4 director, which means 6 clubs. Now I oversee 6 clubs. One of them still being First Republic. So now I'm kind of moving on the leadership track to the next level, and it comes with a whole new set of challenges. Every club's different. Every club has their own different culture, different struggles, different challenges, different skill sets. But I'm looking forward to moving on to the next level.
And I think that's, your leadership skills and the things that you've learned at Toastmasters is going to help all the clubs in our area grow tremendously. I'm looking forward to working with you on that and, just seeing how we can take this leadership area or this leadership skills that you have in this area and turning this area into a select area within Toastmasters. Your skills and the things that you've done in your life here, just in the last 5 years that I've known you, have, really, they kind of remind me of a quote that Richard Branson has that I've talked about. It's going to be one of my quotes of the day, that he says that if somebody offers you an amazing opportunity and you think, well, I don't really know how to do that, say yes.
Yes.
And then learn how to do it later.
That's totally true.
And that's one of my favorite quotes, because that's, if you're going to progress in life, if you want a better job, if you want to, achieve, amazing goals, you have to take amazing opportunities when they're presented to you. And I think you've kind of done that, from the things I see. You didn't hang around and wait for somebody to make you do something. An opportunity was offered. You said yes, and then you ran with that. So, as we're talking here, is there a quote that you use or that you hang on your wall or that, inspires you in your daily life?
Yes, definitely. I got this quote. There's a lot of quotes that I really thought about over the years, but there's one that I found on Pinterest that I think about all the time. And the quote is, "Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't want to work hard.
I like that.
And the way I interpret that quote is, at least for me, I never consider myself, the smartest guy, the funniest speaker, or the best speaker or whatnot, but the work ethic is there, right? And some people, there's a couple athletes that I've always looked up to, Michael Jordan being one of them, Kobe Bryant being one of them, because of their work ethics, right? They're all constantly working to improve themselves and are constantly working on their crafts, and knowing that. And Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's a good one too. He always says, "Be the hardest worker in the room, and that's the key to success. If you're the hardest worker, you'll have no problems accomplishing your goals." And maintaining that mindset gives me the confidence that if I'm not the most talented person, my work ethic will beat the most talented people.
Right. Excellent. Now, I talk about habits a lot and how habits can either be detrimental or positive in our careers and our attempts to achieve goals. Do you have any habits that you do that are, that help you get to where you're at?
Yeah, definitely. For me, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but a little preparation goes a long way. And I grew up, being a huge sports fan, and I played basketball all my life. Big basketball fan. And, before a game, you have, your pregame warm-ups, your pregame routines, things like that. And I've taken that framework into everything I do here. So whenever I give a public speech, whenever I go into a meeting or something of, big importance, like I'll take 30 minutes beforehand to just get mentally ready, right? And in that exercise, it's a little bit of kind of calming myself down, working out the nerves, a lot of visualization, something that I also got from your book. If you visualize yourself doing the task, you're going to be successful. Because one, it kind of sets the tone, it gives you that confidence, and you kind of have a mental picture of what success is going to look like when you're performing the task, whether that's a basketball game, whether that's giving a speech, whether that's leading a business meeting.
Exactly.
So that's kind of become my ongoing habit.
Preparation and visualization.
Yeah.
Yes. Visualization, folks, is really key to, achieving success. I know everybody's familiar with Michael Phelps. And one of the great stories that I've read about Michael Phelps as part of his habit routine is he uses visualization quite a bit. And his coach that he worked with, and unfortunately can't remember his name, but whenever Michael was getting ready to do, what ended up being one of his record-breaking swims that he did, his coach, before he got up on the starting block, would be to tell Michael, play the video. And that was just a signal to start visualizing him doing what he did best, and that was winning. So he had that as a part of his preparation, was this visualization of him doing a perfect job, a perfect swim, and winning. And as long as you do that, it will help you, to go further in your careers and in your goals. So that's great that you have that as one of your habits. Do you have any books that you read that have helped you? I do a lot of reading and recommend a lot of books, and I know that you do a lot of reading as well. I've heard some of the books that you recommended to the folks at Toastmasters. Do you have a book that you really resonate with that has been very inspiring for you through the last 5 years, or even just your entire life?
Yeah, there's a couple books that I've read. It's hard to pick one, but one's actually coming to mind right now. Are you familiar with Tim Grover?
I am not.
So Tim Grover is a famous trainer. He trained Michael Jordan.
Oh, okay.
And actually, at the time, when Michael Jordan picked him up, he was kind of unheard of. No one really knew this guy, but he became Michael Jordan's trainer, and then would move on to train all these other high-profile athletes. And he wrote a book called Relentless. And in that book, he actually talks about some of these superstar athletes that he's trained in, and what it was about them that made them so good at their craft, and that's kind of the title of the book. They're all relentless, right? And that's something that really resonated with me, because in my job and in Toastmasters, people have often told me that when they hear me speak about work or something that's not related to work, I sound very passionate, right? People say that to me all the time, and I also sound very, to Tim Grover's book, relentless, right? I just keep going, keep talking about it. I keep bringing it up with every challenge. I mean, with my day job, I'm in a role where I'm constantly trying to evangelize this new way of doing things. And in order to be successful at that, You have to be persistent. You have to constantly keep trying new ways to accomplish the task. Same thing with Toastmasters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not everything that we tried over the year worked, right? Some things work, some things don't work, but you have to be able to be persistent and relentless enough to come back and try something else if it doesn't work out, right? So that's a book. Tim Grover's book has actually been instrumental for me whenever I ran into new challenges, whenever I failed at something and needed to pick myself back up. I was reminded that even the best people, like Michael Jordan, they don't always succeed.
Right. Exactly. Yep. One of my mentor and one of my mastermind group coaches has taught me a new phrase, consistently persistent. That you talked about that, just, about that and being relentless. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to have to pick up that book. I like to read the stories and learn about, sports athletes, and how because those are, the top athletes are the ones who are consistently persistent, and they do what it takes to get where they're at. They didn't just, I'll just do it tomorrow.
That's right.
They consider that, and just keep driving until they achieve their goals. Mm-hmm. Hello, goal getters. Tony Woodall with Goal Getting Podcast. I wanted to let you know that the book that Eugene just recommended by Tim Grover, Relentless, is also available on audible.com. And for you, the listeners of Goal Getting Podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. I have not read that book, and I'm going to have to check that out, but many of the books I do read are from audible.com, and I encourage you to download your free audiobook today by going to goalgettingbook.com. Again, that's goalgettingbook.com for your free audiobook, and you can get that download. Thank you, and have a great day. As you're going through your life here at FRB and in Toastmasters, and do you have any piece of advice that somebody gave you that just resonates with you and has helped drive you to be successful?
That's a good question. I've been given a lot of pieces of advice over the years, but one piece of advice that I still think about to this day came from my current boss. Mm-hmm. She was telling me that, and I know this is going to sound a little bit silly at first, but I'll give an explanation. She always says, you have to be yourself, right? A lot of people kind of maintain this two-persona lifestyle where when they're at work or when they're in the professional world, they act a certain way. When they're in their personal lives, they act a certain way. Right? And those two personalities are most of the time very different. Mm-hmm. And my boss told me, she said, if you want to be successful, you got to find a way to make those two personalities become one. And at first I didn't really understand what she was saying at the time, right? But I thought about it and I realized that that's kind of the key to success, at least for me, because even when I'm giving my public speeches or when I'm giving my presentations, I stopped giving kind of standard robotic presentations a long time ago. A lot of people, when they give presentations and they're not really well trained, they do a lot of practice, and it gets them to a point where they feel comfortable enough giving a presentation. Right. But over time, my personality really started to come out. Right. So when you hear me speak, it sounds like me. It doesn't sound like like a face that I'm putting on. Right. It really becomes my personality, and that's, I think, what elevates people to the next level. Right. And when I'm at work, people feel like they really have gotten to know me. They have a relationship with me, like you and me. We're friends. People it doesn't feel like we're coworkers, right? Like exactly. We're just coworkers. So that I didn't understand the piece of advice at first, but over the years I realized it is important when you can blend both worlds together. Right. It actually works out pretty well. And also, I think when I really started to realize the importance of this message she was giving me, it was when I was working in social media, because a lot of people, they don't connect with their coworkers on Facebook or Twitter or whatnot because they consider social media their personal life. Mm-hmm. But as a social media professional, it all gets blended into one, right? So finding a way to kind of merge both worlds well was a great piece of advice that she gave me. No,
that's excellent, and I think that's very true in business. One of the goals in sales and any other type of business, and for a business to a consumer, is if you want customers, they have to know you, like you, and trust you. Right. And the only way to do that is to be you. Right. If you're somebody else, that will come out. People will see that. People will recognize that. And, especially in social media, exposed world out there these days, so you have to be very careful with that.
Right.
So that's an excellent piece of advice, and you, I think, have taken that to heart and have done a great job, because I feel like I know you as you are, and that I think that comes across in that leadership that you have, and that is also in the leadership role with people, getting them to buy in. You have to build that know me, like me, trust me part to be able to make that work and to drive that change in a new business, and even getting people to hire you and promote you and things like that. If you don't have that, if you're not you, it won't work.
Very true.
I think that's a great piece of advice your current boss gave you. And the other thing that your current boss just gave you, I understand, is a promotion.
That's right.
So I would like to congratulate you. And again, folks, if you're working on a career, pay attention to the things that Eugene has said today, because, I know when I started my career years ago, I wanted to excel, and I wanted to, get out of my dead-end jobs that I had at the time, and I wanted to become, a much higher paid person and things like that. And, Eugene has done that. I mean, he came in the bank as a fraud analyst right out of college. Mm-hmm. And today you are now, what is your title?
Director of Enterprise Collaboration.
Director of Enterprise Collaboration, folks. Again, not a meteoric rise, but, he's worked for it, and he did what he had to do to achieve his goals. And he now has been successful at that and achieved, the goal of heading the department that he helped create.
That's right.
And helped build, and is still doing a great job. Our internal social media platform is, very helpful in getting information disseminated to everybody, and I use it frequently for our department that I work in. So congratulations on that, Eugene.
Thank
Area
you.
Director and now Director at work as well.
Mm-hmm.
You have a great future ahead of you, and I want to make sure that I take good care of your time here, and we're going to go ahead and get ready to say goodbye to everybody. But before we leave, with the goal getters who are out there, you've given some great golden nuggets of things that people can learn to become a better speaker. Go to Toastmasters. That will help you if you have a fear of public speaking. That will help you get over that, I believe. It's helped me become a much better speaker, and harness any fears that I have. We all still have them, but we're able to handle them much easier. And it will also teach you some valuable leadership skills and give you practice and experience. If one of the things I used to hear in, when I wanted to get raises or positions or things like that was, well, you don't have any experience. If you want to get experience, join Toastmasters, because it will give you speaking experience. It will give you presentation experience. It will give you leadership skills and experience.
That's right.
Real live practice. And, Eugene's a testament to that, and some of the things that he's accomplished at our Toastmasters Club. So join Toastmasters and become active as an officer and learning those particular programs. So Eugene, before we leave, do you have any parting words of wisdom that you would offer to our audience, of goal getters, people who are out there trying to achieve goals, whether it be become a better speaker or get over fears of speaking, or they want to improve their career to a level that, they deserve?
Yeah.
How can they do that? Or what are some words of wisdom that you might have for them?
A couple things. First, I once was told that in your career, you should never aim for just titles. You shouldn't say, my goal is to become a vice president one day. And I can honestly say I've never thought about, I've never aimed for titles. I aim for things that are bigger than that, right? Mm-hmm. I want to become the best leader. I actually want to become the best public speaker at this bank. Like that's my goal. That's a lofty goal, by the way, because we have some great speakers here. But that's what I'm aiming for. So I kind of aim high at these really broad goals, and the titles come with them, right? They're kind of a byproduct of the work that you put in. So really aim high, but also when you're coming up with a goal, if you have a dream or if you have something that you want to achieve, you have to put together a plan. If you could just put together the plan, I think you're 50% along the way,
right?
Because most people can't get to that part, right?
Exactly.
They can't get to that part, so they don't really know what they're doing, right? If they're trying to lose weight, trying to get into shape, if they're trying to advance their career, they want to triple their income or whatnot. Mm-hmm. They have a goal, but they don't know how to get it.
Right.
That's the problem. So coming up with a plan for yourself really makes a huge difference.
Excellent words of wisdom. And speaking of tripling your income, JJ Hanley, who's our outgoing area director that Eugene's going to be replacing, came and did a speech at our awards night. And he started that off with, wouldn't you like to triple your income? Join Toastmasters. And as part of his speech. And it was really funny because I guess that week Eugene got a promotion to area director of Enterprise Collaboration. Thank you. And I think you have tripled your income
since I started.
Since you started. So that is just phenomenal. What setting goals that you want to achieve and achieving them, and utilizing Toastmasters and the things that you can learn there can show you. So I think that was kind of prophetic.
Seriously. It was perfect timing.
Yeah,
perfect timing.
It was. So, Eugene, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Yeah, of
and
course.
I appreciate your time, and I appreciate the inspiration that you've been to me. Just watching you grow in Toastmasters and in your career, it just inspires me to be better at what I do, and also to be better at Toastmasters. I strive to be as good as you, and it's amazing. I'm going out for the humor speech contest, and I'm glad that you're the area director now, because you can't enter this year because you beat me last year.
Well, actually, you didn't participate last
That's
year.
right. I didn't
make
participate.
it.
I couldn't make it. I was out of town. So yes, but I think you would have
This is
beaten
going
me
to be
anyway.
your year, Tony.
So anyway, thank you, and I do appreciate it. And goal getters, thank you for joining us today. If you want to go to our show notes, goalgettingpodcast.com/Eugene, EUGENE, and you can read, about the show itself, and we'll have links to the book and the quote that Eugene gave us that just inspires him, so you can have that and maybe put it up on your wall. But again, go to the show notes if you want to leave Eugene a comment, any questions for Eugene, please go to goalgettingpodcast.com/Eugene, EUGENE, and he will respond to any of the comments that you have out there. I'll make sure he gets them. And we appreciate you, and I appreciate you listening. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day. Wow, goal getters, that was really exciting. Eugene just really handed us a lot of golden nuggets on goal getting, goal setting, goal achievement. Eugene has done it. He's gone from Toastmaster to Goal Master. And again, he is a dynamic individual. I love working with Eugene on the projects that we do in Toastmasters, and just watching him excel in his internal community manager role that he's had, and now the director of Enterprise Collaboration. Eugene, just keep going, my friend, and I think you're going to really do well in life. So young, so bright, and just really full of life. I love watching him. So have a great day, folks. I really want to thank you for listening. If you would come back to our show notes at goalgettingpodcast.com/Eugene, EUGENE in lowercase, you'll be able to see the show notes. And I'm going to put what I call a podcast upgrade on our podcast upgrades page for you to go and download. You can go to goalgettingpodcast.com/upgrades, and I'll have notes from the points that Eugene has talked about on the show, and you'll be able to pick those up on that page. That's goalgettingpodcast.com/upgrades, and you will be able to download those. After you leave your email address, we'll send them to you through email. I appreciate you listening, and hope you enjoy what Eugene has provided today. If you like our show, please tell your friends. Please let them know that we're out here at goalgettingpodcast.com on iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. You can find us there, and we love having good listeners. And if you have something you want to share with Eugene, please leave it in the comments on the show notes at goalgettingpodcast.com/Eugene. We'll get the information to Eugene, and he'll reply back to your comments, questions, suggestions, etc. If you're interested in Toastmasters, go to Toastmasters website at toastmasters.org. There's a section and a link there to find a club near you, find one of those, and enjoy Toastmasters. Eugene and I both love going to Toastmasters. We have a great club at our company, but we're also involved with helping other clubs around our area, and Eugene is actually our area director. So go out and join Toastmasters. It'll help you build your public speaking skills. It'll help you build your leadership skills, and that will hopefully maybe give you a chance to increase your income 1, 2, 3 times, whatever. But go out and try it. And if you don't like it, that's fine. But I think you will learn to enjoy, being able to speak better. It will help you build your career, much like Eugene did. Thank you very much for being with us today, and we hope you enjoyed listening. Have a good day.